how do you actually force yourself think 10x when our natural predisposition is to think 10%?
This next step, you need to do a mind map. I like doing these on a whiteboard, but you could do it on paper or online.
So the goal of this activity is to really get you into a different kind of frame of mind, to figuring out on how do you actually solve a problem, and not just like, nibble at it or try to make it a little bit better, but literally make it disappear. What I want you to do is pick your problem. So whatever you care about, like pick that problem and put it into the middle of the center of a big piece of paper. This is again a mind map. So we talked about Nextleaf, for example. Their problem was that vaccines spoil because of a break in the cold chain. So their big problem, the thing they wanted to make go away, was there should not be a single vaccine being administered around the world spoiling because of a break in the cold chain. So you put that into the middle. You now figure out, what does it take? What are the problems, the things you need to overcome to make this problem go away? So this could be anything from, you need to have a specific technology. You need to have financing to make this actually work. You need to have the right people on your team. You need to figure out a distribution mechanism to get this into people's hands. All these kind of things you want to put on this mind map connected to your central problem. And then from there you branch out and go a few levels deeper into, okay, what does this actually mean? When you go into the individual areas, you want to be at the end of it very, very specific as to how to solve for that particular problem. For example, distribution. It doesn't really help you to write on the mind map, well, distribution is a problem I need to solve, and then you branch off and you say, well, we'll find some partners. Well, what does some partners mean? So spend some time in research and figure out, who are those partners? Ideally, you can even say, who are the people I need to talk to at those partners to make this happen? The reason why you want to do this is to not trick you into thinking something which is hard is actually easy. So build this mind map and create this beautiful overview of what the problem looks like, what are the different areas you need to tackle, and how do you make them go away. So when I sat down with Nextleaf's founder, we talked about the solution she had in hand. And I asked her, what does it take to make the problem go away? She looked at her solution and said, well, the solution works. What we want to do is we want to do a few more trials. And I looked at her and was like, you're not thinking big enough. You're thinking 10%, whereas I'm asking you, what does it take to make the problem go away? And she looked at me and said, you know what? Financing is the big hurdle. To focus and narrow in her focus on this one specific area, she identified as the biggest roadblock at the moment to make the problem go away. The problem you look at in the center of your mind map, again, should be in this middle ground, not be too vague, not like solve world hunger, and not too specific, saying solve hunger for 12-year-olds in Central Africa, but something in the middle there, big enough that it's a beefy problem for you to tackle, small enough that it makes sense for you to address it. I highly encourage you to make this map for you as complete as possible. When you look at all of them together, that there's some interesting stuff happening where you see missed opportunities or problems you couldn't see before. It sounds easy, but if you want to do it well, it will take you a little bit of time. I often find people putting down a map, letting it rest for a little bit, talking to experts, friends, people in the field who give them more inputs, then revisiting their map and redrawing it or adding to it. Expect this process to take a little bit of time and a bunch of iterations to get it right. When you get it right, it's magic.